what your knowledge is going back into Oregon's history. They go way back, into the 1970s with marijuana work groups coming into, creating a decriminalization, and then the legislature recriminalizing, and the people coming back and re-decriminalizing, and you get great groups that like Paul working there with his group. THCF and voter power, and coming up now, you've even got, I believe, new initiatives coming up that'll be really, the new generation of cannabis activists in Oregon. So I really wonder kind of what your point of view is from LEAP's perspective.
Right. Well, actually, that history that you just described is actually very important for states like Oregon and moving forward, bringing this to an end, because what it has created is a really good environment for education. It kept the issue somewhat at the forefront. So the citizens of Oregon were constantly learning, constantly hearing about the failed policies, counterproductive policies. They're exposed to what should be more often, and it makes them a well-educated and powerful voter. So it's actually a good thing, and that's why many of us believe that Oregon is probably one of the next states, along with Alaska, to move forward in legalizing cannabis. So I think it's a good thing.
I-21, I-22?
Well, on I-21, that's the constitutional amendment to stop arresting people for marijuana use, which I think really makes a lot of sense.
Well, I love constitutional amendments that do something like that, but at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to just end prohibition. No one needs to be arrested for possession. No one needs to be arrested. We need to have that mechanism for a legal marketplace. LEAP, we come to this fight from a place of public safety, and our current policies are actually counterproductive to public safety. It continues to put millions, if not billions, into the hands of many folks who cause us problems in our communities with managing their illegal businesses.
And then, go ahead.
Good.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So, and on the arrest side too, when we arrest people, when we saddle people with criminal records, I don't care whether it's a felony or misdemeanor, a criminal record's a criminal record when it comes to trying to get a job. And the more people that we have who are unemployable, again, from a criminal justice perspective, those people are going to be the ones that are easily swayed into a life of some sort of criminal activity, which again is counterproductive to public safety. I just want to say this real quick. We're talking about drug policy. We're talking about marijuana policy reform. But as a whole, this country has got to change its position on incarceration. We have to stop locking people up for not just drug offenses, but for the many nonviolent offenses that people commit. Sending someone into prison does no good for public safety, because they will not return to you a better person. They will not return. I talked to a prison official a few days ago, and he told me, he says, look, when someone comes into our institutions, they have 24 hours to decide whether they're going to be predator or prey. And you know what they decide. And then when they return to your neighborhoods and communities, many of these people continue as predators at some level. So, we really have to end this vicious cycle of sending so many people to prison in this country, and we have to look at that and do something about it.
Well, and then the other aspect that we got up there is I-22. It's about having 24 plants personally. Here in Oregon, you can do that now if you're a medical marijuana patient. And they just figure with this initiative, 24 plants per person who wants to grow it, kind of like tomatoes, no license. But we do understand the need for regulation. So, of course, you would want to regulate recreational or what we call social use of marijuana and hemp products like we would any other product, tomato, cantaloupe. If hemp's being turned into a cloth, like you would for shirts or pants, or if you're using it for fuel, the same way you would tax it for fuel. So, I mean, we understand that. So that's what I-22 is about. Now, do you find that to be of interest?
Well, I tell you one thing, and this is not Leach's position. I just want to make that disclaimer. What I'm about to say, it's my position. I just think we still have to be very careful as it relates to how far we go with the regulation, especially when we're talking about people growing, marijuana, on their property for their own personal consumption. I look at what we do with, making wine and beer for personal consumption. Clear across the country, there's very little regulation regarding that. The regulation comes into play when it comes to you giving obviously in most places you can't sell it to anyone else. And you can give, a small amount away to friends and family and so on. And I think we should keep it as close as possible, to how we manage the making of wine and beer for your personal consumption. I just want to wrap up with one comment regarding momentum and that word activism. Act. You have to act. You have to get involved, Casper. I believe you said that. We need all of these folks, all of your listeners, to find a place in this movement. Step in, grab onto it, jump on a wagon, a train, whatever you need to do here to get yourself involved in changing this policy. You'll be surprised just how few phone calls or letters or emails it takes to move one of your legislative representatives. So find a place, get involved, and let's keep this momentum going. The momentum that we currently have is extremely important, and we'll end this sooner than you think.